This is Harold Reed, and welcome to another episode of the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day. Hey, how you doing? This is Harold S. Reed Jr., also known as hrjr, your motivational coach. If you don't know what motivation means, motive plus action equals results, and results equals success. Welcome to another episode of the Ice Talks, and today I'm going to talk to you about integrity. Not so much just integrity. Integrity is a very important factor of my life. It means a great deal to me. Integrity is pretty much like a code of conduct. It's along the lines of self-discipline, in which it is a state, and this is hrjr's definition, if you will, a state of doing what you know to be right, whether or not you are being watched. See, there comes times in our lives where we're human, we all make mistakes, and there are two kinds of mistakes. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But there are times when we do what we do because, hell, we're human and we're flawed. There are times when we try to be slick and get over, and there are times that we just goof up, all right? So when it comes to integrity, let me talk about mistakes. There are two kinds of mistakes that people make, all right? No matter how you want to classify it or justify it or whatever-fy it, all right? When you break it down, if you're being totally honest, there are only two kinds of mistakes that people make, all right? There are mistakes made out of arrogance, and there are mistakes made out of ignorance. Now, when you make a mistake out of ignorance, that's basically, you didn't know any better, all right? When a child does something because they just weren't thinking, they didn't know any better, boom, they didn't know any better. Or you hit something and you knocked it over, you weren't thinking about it, things just happen when it comes to mistakes out of ignorance. You don't know any better, things just happen, right? Maybe you made the wrong choice, okay, mess happens, ish happens. All right. But then there are mistakes made out of arrogance. Mistakes made out of arrogance happen when you know better, when you know something is wrong, when you know it's not a wise idea, when you basically want to gamble and take the risk of getting what it is that you want, but you know things might not go the way you want them to. That's a mistake made out of arrogance. Perfect example. Guy gets caught cheating. Mistake made out of arrogance. All right. He knows he's not supposed to be cheating. Or a woman. I like equality. I'm big on equality. So a woman gets caught out there cheating. Bottom line is the person knows if they're in a committed relationship, they're not supposed to be doing what they out there doing. And if they get caught, that's a mistake of arrogance. And it's kind of hard to say it's even a mistake of arrogance because it's also a conscious decision. See, once you make a conscious decision, it's no longer a mistake. See, how did Shakespeare put it? What a tangled web when we weave, when at first we try to deceive or something like that. But here's what I want to get at, because it's kind of socially relevant, especially in the hip hop music / black community. All right. There's a rapper from the city of Philadelphia named Meek Mill, and dude had, trouble in the past and whatnot, and he wound up getting put on probation for each of his incidents of trouble, or shall I say his quote unquote mistakes of arrogance, because the things that he was charged with and got probation for, he knew what he was doing. But anyway, about a year ago, a little under a year ago, he was facing a judge for another probation violation, and the judge sentenced him to like 4 years in jail or something. So it was basically a ridiculously over-the-top sentencing for his probation violation. And it came to be discovered that this particular judge had a personal axe to grind for a variety of reasons that are irrelevant to this particular discussion. Long story short, yesterday, April 24th, it was reported that he's being released from jail. Okay, prison, whatever. He's being released from incarceration. Okay, now you got a whole bunch of young people, especially black people. I'm going to call my people out when I have to. Okay, running around screaming, yay, he's free, yay, he's free, yay, he's free. I'm sorry, I'm of a certain mind where, one, I don't want to see a black man in jail who doesn't have to be. I don't want to see any person in jail for any longer than they should be, if in fact they did something to get themselves put there in the first place. All right. And the fact of the matter is, this is where integrity comes in. People are failing to realize that this young man was engaged in activities that put him in this position in the first place. You see, if he wasn't doing drugs and had drugs in his car, he wouldn't have had to go be put on probation. If he wasn't fighting in airports, he wouldn't have to be put on probation. If he wasn't riding a motorcycle like a damn fool in New York City, he wouldn't have to be put on probation. All these different things that this young brother did to get him first of all, get him arrested, get him charged, get him adjudicated and put on probation, and then ultimately put in jail. How many chances do you think you should get? But that's not what this is about. What this is about is understanding that an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. All right? An ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. What that means is if you have any idea what the outcome is, don't do that thing that will produce that outcome. Now, if that thing happens to be something that you know to be wrong, don't do it. But like I said, because I'm not perfect, we're human, we're flawed. We're going to take shortcuts. We're going to do little things that try and get over here and there in life. I get it. But don't we want to be better people? We're going to, listen, I'll take shortcuts here and there. As long as those shortcuts don't hurt anybody and they don't necessarily jeopardize my situation, whatever that situation may be. You know, I'm not talking about cheating. I'm not talking about swindling. I'm not talking about, being inappropriate in one's transactions or business dealings. But, just be honest in what you do. And more so in being honest in what you do, be honest with yourself. See, when you're honest with yourself, and that's what this is all about, really. When I'm talking about integrity, I'm not really talking about being honest with others. I'm talking about being honest with yourself. Have integrity within yourself. See, what tends to happen, and this is where it gets funny, what tends to happen is people don't like to have their flaws pointed out to them. People don't like to have their weaknesses shown, right? So when somebody else falters, when somebody else falls down, everybody else around tends to put all the attention on that person. Why? Because as long as everybody's focusing on that one individual who was taking a fall, nobody's focusing on all the other individuals who are watching, because everybody's watching that one person who fell. But each and every one of those people, each and every one of us, we all have to go to our own homes. We all have to, as I like to say, go to our bathrooms and sit on the toilet by ourselves. And wherever you are, sitting in that bathroom by yourself, light or dark, lights on or not, there you are. And you have to be honest with yourself and what you're going through and what you're doing. You have to have that integrity to keep you honest. Okay? And the reality is, the things that we encounter in life are a result of the decisions and the choices and the actions that we make. Okay? So you can't rightfully go around saying you punched this person in the face because they quote unquote made you mad. No, they did something that provoked you. Yes. All right. But provocation that does not immediately harm you, that does not immediately pose a threat to you, is not justification for you to physically respond in kind. You have to be honest with yourself. You wanted to punch that person in the face, okay? It's like, here's another important fact, and I'll begin to wrap this up real soon. You know, the women, this Me Too movement, all right? And there are men who are involved in it as well, okay? For years, people have said, you know, just because a woman dresses a certain way, that doesn't mean she's asking for a particular outcome. And this is very much true. But at the same time, understand that you attract certain things. Now, I'm not making this a disparaging comment against women, so please don't make that don't misunderstand me in that vein. All right? Certain things we do attract certain responses. Whether we like those responses, whether we want those responses, that's not the point. We can't deny the fact that certain things that we do attract certain responses. It's cause and effect. Okay? And if you do not want that effect, then you have to make the determination if whatever joy you're going to get out of doing what you want to do is worth that cause. Okay? If you want to walk around your house in the nude, that's fine. You have every right to do it. But if you live in a high-rise building with all glass windows and you don't have any blinds and anybody with a telescope or binoculars can look inside your house and see you walking around in the nude, do you want that? You know, if you live in a high crime area, right? But you got a little change and you want to get the hottest car, but you don't have the street rep. You just happen to live in a high crime area. Do you get that car and park it on the street where somebody's going to come along and take it and rob it or vandalize it or what have you? See, certain things that we do evoke certain responses. So having integrity with ourselves means we have to be honest with ourselves and making the determination if ultimately what we want is worth the hassle of getting it. Or is the outcome that's likely to come worth the risk of doing whatever may bring about that outcome? We have to have integrity with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. And if we are truly trying to become better people, then as such, we have to be certain that what we're doing is for, if not the greater good of all around us, the greater good of oneself. I think that when we break it down and we're really honest with ourselves, the world can be a better place. But again, as I said, we also live in a world where people don't want to face their flaws. We're human. We're flawed. Deal with it. As I always say, once we face our flaws, we can fight our flaws. And once we fight our flaws, we can be free of our flaws. It works for me. I invite you to try it as well. I guarantee you it'll work for you if you're honest with yourself and you exercise integrity with yourself. Now, I don't want anybody to feel judged. This is not where I'm coming from. It's not about you feeling judged, all right? It's about me saying to you, if the listener, that we are all human and we all share the same experience. All right. We all share shame. We all share pride. We all share joy. We all share anger. We all share passion. We all share love. We all share hate. How we respond to these stimuli and stressors in our lives, that's the integrity. That is the self-discipline. How we respond to these things. See, there's a saying that goes, life is 90%. It's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you do with what happens to you. I believe that if you're honest with yourself as much as possible, if not at all times, you will lead a great life. Hey, this is Harold S. Reed Jr. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Ice Talks.